The snowbound stranger. The wind howled like a wounded wolf across the high plains, whipping powdery snow into ghostly shapes that danced through the dying twilight. The year was 1879, and the Sierra Blanca mountains lay buried beneath a white storm so fierce even the hardiest traveler prayed for mercy. Jake Callahan, a weary cowboy with frost edging his hat brim, urged his exhausted horse through the knee-deep drifts. He'd been riding since dawn, chasing a trail that had long gone cold, and now, so was he. The blizzard had swallowed the world whole. "Easy, boy," he muttered, patting the gelding's neck. "We'll find shelter, somehow." But the storm only answered with silence and snow. Just when he thought he'd have to camp out in the open, Jake spotted a faint flicker through the white haze, firelight. He blinked, thinking it a mirage. Then he saw it again, steady and real, glowing from a small cabin half buried under snowdrifts. Jake's heart kicked with relief. He spurred his horse forward, dismounted, and staggered toward the rough wooden door. His frozen knuckles rapped once before it swung open, fast, cautious. A rifle barrel met his chest. Behind it stood a woman, tall, proud, wrapped in a heavy blanket of deerskin. Her dark eyes glimmered in the firelight, sharp as obsidian. A streak of raven hair fell loose across her cheek, and even through the cold, Jake saw the strength and grace in her stance. "Not one step closer," she warned, her voice low and steady. "You come inside only if I say." Jake raised his hands slowly. "Ma'am, I don't mean no trouble. Just lookin' for a roof and a fire for the night. Storm's got me near froze." Her eyes narrowed, studying him. The blaze behind her threw shadows across the cabin walls, a small fire, a pile of pelts, a pot steaming over the coals. She was alone, he realized. After a tense moment, she lowered the rifle slightly. "You are far from your kind's land, cowboy. Why you ride this way?" Jake's voice cracked from the cold. "I could ask the same, ma'am. But right now, I'd be mighty grateful just to dry my boots." She hesitated, then stepped aside, gesturing with the rifle. "Come in, but remember, my fire, my rules." Jake ducked inside, the warmth hitting him like a slap. He pulled off his gloves and rubbed his hands near the flames. The woman watched him in silence, still holding the rifle. "You got a name, ma'am?" he asked carefully. She didn't answer right away. Then, "They call me Nokomi. It means, daughter of the moon." "Pretty name," Jake said softly. "I'm Jake Callahan." Her gaze flicked over him, reading every detail, the trail-worn coat, the holster at his hip, the tired eyes. "You are a gunman," she said, not a question. "Used to be," he replied. "Now I just ride where the wind takes me." Nokomi tilted her head, as if measuring his soul. Then she set the rifle aside and knelt by the fire to stir the pot. "You will eat. But listen well, cowboy. When darkness falls in these mountains, the cold shows no mercy. If you wish to live till dawn," she looked up, her eyes fierce, "you share my fire, or you freeze." Jake blinked, unsure if she meant it as a warning, or something deeper. Outside, the wind screamed against the cabin walls. Inside, the fire crackled, casting gold light across Nokomi's face, the face of a woman who'd seen too much loss, yet carried herself with unbroken pride. He didn't know it yet, but this night would change both their lives forever. Firelight and shadows. The storm outside raged through the long hours of night, battering the small cabin with snow and wind until it moaned like a living thing. Inside, the air glowed amber from the hearth, and the only sounds were the hiss of the fire and the slow, cautious rhythm of two people learning to trust silence. Jake sat cross-legged by the fire, his coat steaming as the heat thawed the chill from his bones. Nokomi moved quietly about the cabin, checking the firewood stack, ladling stew into 2 wooden bowls. Her movements were graceful yet deliberate. Every step told of a life shaped by survival. When she handed him the bowl, her eyes flicked to his pistol belt, resting beside him on the floor. "You carry iron even when you sleep?" she asked. Jake took the bowl, blowing on the steam. "Sometimes iron's all that stands between a man and his grave." She made a low sound, half laugh, half sigh. "That's what white men always say." He looked up at her. "And what do Apache women say?" "That a man who trusts only his weapon has already lost his heart." Her words struck deeper than he expected. For a moment, the fire between them seemed to burn hotter, its glow painting her face with bronze light. Jake studied her, the proud line of her jaw, the steady calm in her gaze, the faint scars along her hands. "You've seen your share of fights," he said quietly. Nokomi's eyes dropped to the fire. "The world takes what it wants. I learned to take nothing for granted." She sat across from him, curling her legs beneath the blanket. The storm's cry softened outside, but neither of them moved closer. They ate in silence until only the crackle of wood filled the room. Then Jake spoke again, voice low. "You live here alone." Her gaze met his. "Since my husband died. The soldiers came last winter. They called it justice. I called it murder." Jake's spoon froze halfway to his lips. "I'm sorry," he said, the words rough in his throat. "You did not kill him," she said, though her tone carried a quiet bitterness. "But your kind did. Same uniforms, same flag. They burned our camp and left the snow red." He had no answer. The fire popped sharply, sending sparks leaping into the chimney's dark mouth. "I left the army long ago," he murmured finally. "Couldn't stomach what they called order. Been drifting ever since." Her eyes softened, not with forgiveness, but with understanding. "Then maybe the spirits brought you here for a reason, Jake Callahan." He gave a wry smile. "If they did, they got a cruel sense of timing. I was half dead out there." Nokomi tilted her head. "And now?" Jake met her gaze across the flames. "Now I reckon I'm more alive than I've felt in years." For the first time, she smiled, a fleeting curve of her lips, gone almost before he could believe it. Hours passed. The blizzard outside eased to a soft whisper. Nokomi added another log to the fire, and Jake helped her set a heavy hide across the door to keep the warmth in. When he turned back, she was watching him, not with suspicion anymore, but with quiet curiosity. "You ride with no one," she said. "No tribe, no home. That kind of loneliness kills slower than any bullet." He nodded. "Maybe that's why the snow didn't scare me much tonight. I've been cold a long time, Nokomi." Her expression changed, a flicker of pain or memory. Then she reached behind her, pulling another blanket from a chest. She handed it to him. "There is room by the fire. The night is long, and warmth must be shared." Jake took the blanket, his pulse steady but strong. "You sure about that?" She lifted her chin slightly. "You think I fear you?" "No, ma'am," he said softly. "I think you fear what this night might mean." For a heartbeat, the world held still, the wind quiet, the fire crackling low. Nokomi's eyes searched his, and whatever she found there wasn't danger. It was honesty. She sat down beside him, close enough that he could feel her warmth through the blanket. The scent of sage and smoke lingered in her hair. "My people say," she whispered, "that fire is alive. It listens, it remembers. You share it with someone, you share a piece of your spirit too." Jake looked into the flames. Then I reckon we're bound by it now. Her lips curved again, not a smile, but a silent acknowledgment. Some time later, as the storm faded into dawn, Nokomi spoke again, her voice soft and distant. When the snows melt, will you ride on? He hesitated. That's what I've always done. She turned toward him. Then maybe it's time you stop running. Jake stared into the fire, the weight of her words heavy as the mountain itself. He thought of the emptiness waiting beyond these walls, the endless trails and nameless towns. Then he thought of this cabin, of her, and the strange peace he felt here. Maybe, he said finally, this storm was meant to find me. Outside, the first light of morning crept through the cracks of the cabin, painting gold across Nokomi's hair. She stood, pulling aside the curtain of hides, and looked out into the quiet white world. The storm has passed, she said. Jake rose beside her, watching the sun rise over the snowbound hills. Maybe it has, he murmured. Their eyes met one last time, fire and frost, sorrow and hope. And though the world outside was frozen, the cabin behind them still glowed with the warmth of two souls who had chosen, for one night at least, not to face the cold alone.